Let's talk about some lies about Hinduism. Now, there are many lies told by some Christian pastors, not all. Not all tell these lies about Hinduism, but some Christian pastors claim that because there is a recognition of snakes, what they call serpents, um, in Hinduism, that Krishna himself rides the serpent of time, that is basically the symbol for the Milky Way galaxy, if interpreted that way. And there is a snake aspect to some of the gods. There's a god of snakes. Snakes are a part of Hinduism. They're not a part that you have to recognize. They're not even one of the largest parts of Hinduism. But there is a recognition of snakes and their nature, and also the nature of Kundalini coming up the spine, rising up the spine, going through the chakras, the Ida and Pingala Nadis, just going up right up the column. Now, Kundalini is compared to a snake, a serpent. And that is because that is the kind of form of the energy. It's not because there's literally a devil snake in you that you're trying to get to take over your brain. That's not how it works. Kundalini is an energy. It's the energy of spirit. And you want to allow it to rise by getting rid of all of your desires and attachments and fears, and really focusing and working on understanding of the cosmos, of getting rid of everything accumulated along your spine. And along your spine, there are energy centers. There's, I believe, over 114 in the body actually, but there are 11 main ones, 7 of which are recognized in the West usually. Unfortunately, this idea that there are actually way more chakras than 7 has been kind of lost among most people in the West, but you get the idea. These chakras are connecting points with everything, with the gods, spirits, this world, all the realms. You feel, once you unlock chakra after chakra, you get rid of these attachments. You get rid of these suppositions. You get rid of this delusion. You get rid of this illusion that you might see in this world and see the true world behind the illusion that is Maya of this world. Now, as you unlock chakra after chakra in this spinning motion, this energy is kind of propelled and it snakes like a serpent, like a snake, but it's not literally a snake. It's just kind of how the energy looks as it goes around these chakras. But to say that Hindus are trying to summon a serpent into their spine and this is the devil, these are not only vague, they're just completely incorrect. In Hinduism, for most Hindus, there is not a devil figure. It is Maya and delusion that holds us back, that is our adversary, that we must conquer. Because if you believe that Satan can actually fight God, that he's a chance of winning, or that despite God's efforts in this world, Satan still controls some people, that makes Satan way more powerful than I think even a figurehead like Satan deserves. Why is Satan so powerful in Christianity, we could ask. But regardless, going to another idea in Ayurveda, it's kind of an offshoot of very specific medical/spiritual, herbalistic and medical science in Hinduism. I'm throwing a lot of terms in there, but it's a very small part of Hinduism, and you don't have to believe. There's nothing in Hinduism that you have to believe. In Ayurveda, some of them drink cow piss, for instance, or basically transform or use the waste of animals, or very certain animals, to try and achieve a certain medical purpose. Now, because of this tiny sliver of certain Hindus that practice these things, which I don't believe in, and most Hindus do not believe in. The vast majority of Hindus do not drink cow piss. You find that people who are, you find atheists, Christians, Muslims calling Hindus, cow piss drinkers, or drinkers of cow piss, just to basically demean and try and defame Hinduism and demean Hindus. It's like here, you've seen this on the news many times. Somebody will hear a story on the news, and it's a story about a certain group of people, and they'll immediately jump to, okay, I knew it. All of these people are terrible. All of them are like this. All of them are goat fuckers. All of them drink cow piss. All of them are rapists. And then it spins around, and they take that tiny bit of what a few people in Hinduism, or even a few people in Islam, a few people in Christianity, a few atheists, give any spiritual understanding or tradition or religion or lack thereof. And somebody who wants to believe something about that group, when they hear a news story of somebody in that group doing something bad, they're like, see, I knew it. All of them are like that. Because it's easier to look down on people than to try and understand who they are. It's easier to defame them. It's easier to insult somebody and make yourself seem correct, make yourself feel correct by using this as a piece of evidence as to the nature of an entire people than it is to truly understand that human beings are far more universal in their tendencies. And the vast majority of people in any tradition or religion are people. They have their good qualities, they have their bad qualities, they have their understandings of things that they hold sacred, the things that they don't do. But there's a terrible trend in humanity that we haven't gotten rid of, that we like to take the easy route of just assuming a few things about an entire people without really looking at the fact that they are human beings with their flaws and the things that they do well as well. Now, we could ask, okay, why did you choose Hinduism if you think that, human beings are human beings and every system can be used properly, like I said in the past? I think because Hinduism is open and it has the best wisdom when it comes down to its scriptures, its holy books, Bhagavad Gita, the Puranas, the Upanishads, and so many teachings on Vedanta. There's just so much gold in it for relieving myself of my attachments, my hates, my angers, my fears, and connecting to everything in the universe and everything beyond the universe, and connecting to God, which everything is a part of, and the different gods and spirits. Really, I call God source a lot of the time because I think that everything is ultimately a part of this one source that we are all working back towards, that we're always a part of, but we have to get rid of all these illusions and delusions and all of these attachments before we get there. Before we become one with the source again, completely one with that infinite source of which creation is a part, we have to work our way through this world. And that understanding, and the understanding of different dimensions, the way time works, and how science was really, a lot of scientific principles that we understand today were founded in Hinduism. All these different things really attributed to me becoming a Hindu, and me stop eating meat about 4 or 5 years ago, and I realized that meat was affecting my consciousness, and now I'm much less afraid, I'm much less angry, and I'm more controlled. And it's all because I don't take in that fear and that suffering that I consume from animal meats, and anybody consumes when they eat animals, basically. But regardless, I'm going off topic. But those are some of the reasons that I got into Hinduism, and I now consider myself as a Hindu. The technical term, as many people have said, and as I've always known, is the path of Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion, or eternal Dharma, however you want to interpret it. But it's easier to say Hinduism because people know what that is, or at least they have an idea. Like, okay, there's a few things that I don't have to explain Sanatana Dharma every time I tell somebody I'm Hindu. So that's why I use the term Hindu. And that might be a lame answer to basically say, but the truth is, most Hindus still consider themselves Hindus, and it's easy to communicate with them and people who don't know about Hinduism by just using the term Hindu. And Sanatana Dharma doesn't even necessarily describe the essence of Hinduism as it is in its full glory. So, pick a name. The path is still the same. It's not all about names. And, a lot of the time, Hindus are described as idolaters who think that God is literally physically in a statue. Now, most Hindus don't think that. Some Hindus do, but there's a Hindu for everything. There's Hindu atheists and agnostics as well. But the idea of idolatry in the Abrahamic traditions is that you literally believe this statue is God, and that statue is going to confer things onto you. For most Hindus, it's a focus. It's a focus on the aspects of the certain God or spirit that you're working with, and gods and spirits being functions of God. The best way I can describe it in Hinduism for most Hindus is that the different gods and spirits are functions of the grander whole. And if you're trying to focus on the source, the grander whole, through that function, or focus on that function of the grander whole, then you use a statue. And, I myself and most other, well, I can't say most, but I'd say all the Hindus that I come into contact, not all of them, but most of the Hindus I come into contact with, and I'd even venture to say the majority, even though there's so many Hindus, it's hard to put a pedigree on the whole field or even describe every part of the spectrum or put numbers on it. But I would say that the majority of Hindus believe that yes, the statue is a thing to focus on, that you can focus on the aspects of a single function and focus your energy into understanding and conferring through experience, personal experience, and personal devotion, that piece of the grander whole. That's what a statue is. It's not about thinking that statue is literally giving you everything that you're trying to get. It's about that statue being a focus to something that's grander. So there's not this idolatry in Hinduism that people in the Abrahamic faith plaster onto us. Now, there's other things that people say about Hindus, like, why, obviously Hindus are bad, why is there so much rape in India? You know, Hindus are rapists. I've heard people say that. Not to me, because I wouldn't have taken kindly to that. But we find that in every impoverished country, and there's so much poverty in India because it's so overpopulated, but in every impoverished country, rape is high. And you'll find Hindus that say, you'll find a small minority that say, oh yeah, a woman should be in the house. If she's outside, of course she's asking to get raped. But that is not being Hindu. That's just basically plastering Hindu culture as far as women being in the house, which is not what most Hindus believe. That's just using a very far right-wing idea that exists in every religion, or lack thereof a lot of the time, that women, this is their place, and basically using Hinduism as the brick that you bash somebody's head in, claiming that you're going to build something with it. But really, you're taking a brick of the destruction of your soul and claiming it to be Hinduism and then hurting that woman with it. This is an analogy, of course, but it makes sense. Now, in impoverished nations, always you'll find rape very high. And you'll find those rapists, when they're confronted, when they're questioned, they'll say, yeah, women should be in the house, or, oh, they were just asking for it, it seemed like they wanted it. They'll put out excuse after excuse after excuse. It's not about any one religion. And, it could be easy for many Hindus, like I've heard, to say that Muslims are rapists. If women don't cover up, obviously they deserve to be raped. But all the Muslims that I've ever known don't believe that. And the majority of Muslims don't practice that way. It's once again certain Muslims trying to use their teachings or their culture in the worst way possible. Taking that brick that could be used to build something, claiming you're going to build something with it, and bashing somebody's head in with it because you think, maybe somewhere deep down that you're wrong. But a lot of the time, some people actually think that this is how they're going to make their society pure. This is how they're going to make their culture pure, by hurting, harassing, raping this woman. And there's a minority of Muslims that believe that, and a very small minority of Hindus that will say that. And you really have to look at the reality of the picture. And there is no excuse for rape, and the people who are using these excuses, they're using them just out of convenience, just because it's the easiest thing to say. What else are they going to say? So Hindus are not cow piss drinkers, not rapists, they're not idolaters. Hindus are spiritualists. For the mass majority of us are spiritualists trying to work our way back home, just like everybody else. So hey, these have been some lies about Hinduism. I hope you've gleaned something from this video. If you have, shoot down in the comment section below. If you like this video at all, hit that thumbs up down there. And, feel free to ask me anything that you want. If you ask a question in the comment section below, I'm more than likely to answer it as long as it's civil. So hey, thank you very much for watching, and I hope all of you have a great day.